Well, here we are. I think we're live. Let's see. Let's check this. Check in with everyone. See if they can see us. Okay. See. I don't see the Facebook live. Are you seeing it on Facebook? I'm not seeing my camera being on. That's one of the craziest things. Oh, okay. Yep. We are on. We are on.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Everybody. Hello. 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 We're coming down to the last few days of Man Cave conversation. I know people are all sad. That's what's happening. I muted myself. I muted myself. How can I do that? That's not cool. All right, guys, this is we're going into the last week of Man Cave conversations. I know some of you will be going through withdrawals. People are already asking if I can have special times once, during the month. Well, we'll see. I don't think y'all know how much work this is. All right, as you come in tonight, I want to ask you to if everybody can invite 10 of their friends, we would be really happy. We're going really deep into the man cave. And also, if you have young children, you probably want to have them. Marlon is here, so you probably want to have the kids in bed.
Oh, wow.
Have the kids in bed. Um, this is Friday night, and we kind of strategically have this on Friday night so that we can have a grown folk time. So come in, share, and like. A lot of you are coming in, you're talking, but you're not liking. So we need you to like, and share as we come in. Okay, so we're not going to wait for everyone to come in because what happens is people look at the video after. And so you'll catch us on the rebound. Tonight we have, I think this first time for this season, we have Minister Marlon Nicolls in the house. Marlon, tell us a little bit about you, what you do, um, and any really great things that you've done over the year.
Oh, wow. Well, good night. Thank you so much for inviting me. I am an image consultant by profession. That means I assist people with how they look, um, how they, how they appear. I work along with many pastors as well as some politicians. Um, and I really enjoy it. I really do. I spent a number of years with the late Miles Monroe, and so as a result of it, I was very strategic in his kingdom message. We worked on about 5 books together, and as a result of it, I gleaned a lot from him. So that set a lot of tone to where I am right now. I'm very much involved with relationship counseling right now, but in the area of uh, sex. Um,
Oh, why you said that so in the area of what, Marlon?
Oh, in sex, real sex. And so I do see myself following the path of sex therapy because I'm not intimidated at any point in time by the topic. Nor am I afraid to delve into anything pertaining to it, especially where the church is concerned. I think the church has really kind of they run fast when this topic comes up. And as a result of it, has caused so many divorces because we don't talk about the in-depth side of it and what to
Right.
expect, how to do it, what it entails, how do you treat your spouse, how intentional you should be in the process, because I mean, marriage is an intentional thing. And so as a result, we go into it kind of nonchalant, but I think when we do that, we damage what God has planned for good in all aspects of our lives. So I'm very intentional in what I do. And that's basically it. I mean, I'm very straight talk in how I operate. So I don't hold back on most things. I'm not silly in how I speak, but I want to make sure by the time we're done, we have a good conversation with a lot of information. Is that enough?
Good. I just saw that Bruce says, "Come on with it, come on with it." It would be really interesting to have you and Bruce together. I don't know if I could survive that. You and Bruce together on the
Well,
same show.
I've never met Bruce, so it'd be nice to meet Bruce.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Bruce is the man. Bruce is the go-to person. He,
Okay.
he knows both worlds and he knows them well. And I think that lends itself to a certain balance that is missing in the body of
Right,
Christ.
right,
So
right,
tonight we're talking about something that is kind of out there. We're talking about scents and the scent of a woman. And someone already asked about the scent of a man. I need you guys to understand that we're in the man cave. When we do have meetings that's just going to be for women, and we're going to talk women stuff, but this, when we get into the man cave, when the men allow us in, we want to be able to glean as much as possible. This is not a back and forth. It's really a teaching session where we can learn something from the man's point of view without the arguments. A lot of times men want to talk, but when they start talking, it turns into an argument, and they know it's World War Six, seven, and eight. So we want to talk about this a little bit, and I know this is going to lead into a lot of stuff. Um, I have, as a psychotherapist, I have had clients, male clients, people who have spoken to me about the scent of a woman. And sometimes that can be very alluring, and
right.
other times it can be very disgusting. Um,
Pungent, yeah.
yeah, it's kind of, and again, we know it goes both ways. And so we want to kind of talk about that again because it's really, really interesting that Naomi spoke to Ruth, and as she is talking to her to present herself to Boaz, she addresses her physical appearance.
Right,
She did not want her to go to Boaz with her work clothes.
right,
Work clothes, meaning what she instructed her to take a bath, put on the perfume. We also hear Mordecai talking to Esther, and that whole process of what purification and the oils, and the I'm looking at something where they talked about the skin, the freckles, and taking care of your skin and taking care of your body odor. From a man's point of view, how important is the pleasant scent of a woman? What does it do to a man?
well, I think it has a very important part. And in fact, when you first asked me about this, I remembered my college days, because my degree is in communication design. And one of the things that took place is that we had several companies and several research organizations come to us with different projects. One of the projects that came to us was to create a perfume that smelled like a woman. Right? So it's kind of when you mentioned to me, I remembered it because we went through a process of what do you mean, and then they started to go into the science of it, in that when a woman showers without using any soaps, anything at all, just have her normal body scent, actually made men in their research just turn their heads and get erections. Just her normal natural body scent, right? Then they took some old research from Israel, from Egypt, and they brought in some natural scents like musk, jasmine, vanillas, these normal natural things that they would have used in those days. Because in those days, when you said clean your body or purify your body, it was intentional also. And they would use certain scents because certain scents also did certain things. Like, for instance, a musk, just regular musk, a touch of musk behind the ear of a woman, it causes a man to start to become sensual. And that has been tested. If you use, let's say, jasmine, and we all know jasmine is used, especially in those days, jasmine actually makes you become erotic. And that has also been proven now. Vanilla, it's an aphrodisiac. So these things have been used, and it was intentional in those days. So when you washed, and you purified yourself, and you put on the oils and peppermints creates a tingle like K1 gels and these other things. It
Right.
literally, you understand? It creates those things. So they were very intentional in how they approach the purification process. So now to answer your question regarding men, I know for I guess when I am in the presence of my wife and there's just a natural scent, that does just so much for me, right? And now because of counsel, we have other situations like what you just said, when there is no intention. Example, husband reaches home and the woman did not take care of herself for the whole day, and that's a natural turn off because we also visual turn off, but then there's a sensual turn off. Come on, it did not did not.
How could it be? You're saying a sensual turn off?
Yeah, when a woman does not clean herself, let's say the scenario that we have, especially in council, is when the day gets too busy, husband gets home, she's so busy, so tired, getting things done. By the time he gets home, she's still in her night clothes or whatever she had on prior to him leaving, and there's no washing, there was no cleaning up. As a result of that, now he's like, oh, seriously, you know, um, so 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 it's a turn off. That's what I'm saying. Everything that we do as believers is completely intentional. Everything that we do as a married couple is intentional. If I know that my husband is coming in, then there's an intentional thing. I know, for instance, my wife, she takes the time when she knows that I'm heading back home. I can see the intention. There's an intentional thing. By the time she goes, hello, and
Right. So how important that is, because we have people, it's 2018 and we have so many people that they're busy with children, busy with so many different things. And and the complaint is he leaves for work, you're in your PJs,
right.
um, and he comes home and you're still in those PJs. Should the man be understanding, like, there's a whole lot of work to do, or is the expectation that I understand there's a lot of work to do, but it would be nice if you clean up knowing I'm coming?
I think the conversation need to be had, and we can't just leave it up in the air because it causes too many problems. So as long as that kind of conversation is start, that's what I'm saying. Marriage is intentional. So if we all know these things, I mean him also, he's also coming home, a very busy day, most likely smelling stink also because of whatever, depending on what job he's coming from. Um, it's also intentional. So I think even if they're kids, whatever the situation is, the intention here is the end result. If my mind is on making love to you, well, making love to you, I'm making love to you throughout the whole day, even if you're busy with the kids and things like that. Um, I think, as I said, it's intentional. You have to start
So
thinking along.
how does a man feel when he comes home? So she may have showered, waiting for him, put on a nice dandan, and she's waiting. And he comes home. He's been doing construction. He
Right.
doesn't have that job, but he sees her, and his first impulse is to hold her, hug her, and she's just like, go take a bath, go take a shower first. Is that does the man feel rejected? Is that something that a man may feel hurt about? I
Well,
mean,
as I said,
not hurt like, it's a tragedy, but just kind of a little dent in his feelings.
well, it all depends on the couple, and that's why I'm saying there has to be conversation along these lines because even if that's the case, say let's say I came in, let's say from the gym, stink smelling, and she's all pretty up, and I run to hug. You can get two reactions. Either come let me grab you. No. Okay. Quick kiss. It depends on the couple, and I'm saying so everything has to be intentional. If I know, if she knows I'm coming from the gym, I'm coming from something that's gonna make me stink smelling, but our relationship is such where we know that we know that this happens. Well, let me just tell you how, for us, we are gym buffs. So let's say she's home and I'm committed, and I will give her a hug, and but I'm sweaty. Oh, don't worry. And then I go and shower. But that's because of the relationship. And as I said, it has to be intentional. No matter what, these conversations have to be continual. You can't just leave things up in the air because somebody else will fill that void. So all these
Yeah, well,
areas,
because you have people, you have women, men who complain that the woman says, go take a bath first. In fact, there are couples who would refer to it as go cook it for me. I'm coming. Like he's coming home. So
right,
instead of saying go shower, it's just like, go prepare it. Go prepare it. I'm ready to eat. Coming home to eat, and that's just their little thing.
right.
Make sure you cook it for me. But if a woman does that constantly, where he has to meet some certain standards before he gets some, is that is that a turnoff? Is that something that a man would feel like she should just kind of look past those
Well,
smells and
I
body
guess
odors?
because my view is different in that it's all intentional. Let's say that happens. I come in. Well, one of my first things I might probably do is let's go and take a shower together. It change the mood changes because you look at the circumstance different, and it all depends on, as I said, the communication of the couples. So we both, oh, let's go grab a shower together. So I'm gonna make love in the shower. I'm just saying it's a matter of how we look at it. So the conversation continually with the couple has to be one of maturity. There has to be communication constantly, and I think these I see that some of these little quirks could be worked out because they are little quirks.
Yeah, they and they're not big heavy hitters. They're just those little things. But one thing I know that you have to be careful for the little foxes, the little things that come in. And I don't I'm not expecting you to talk about yourself, but kind of for tonight, for all intents and purpose, represent the men
Yeah,
around. Um,
right.
there's also a problem if you wake up in the morning and people think that it is probably not sanitary to you slept together and your husband turns over and he wants to kiss you and you say, oh no, go brush your teeth, or let me brush my teeth. It's like, oh my gosh. I mean, like, those little things, is it a big thing or is it just a little thing?
It's a
How does
little
a
thing.
man feel if the woman says that to him? Is that, and we're really asking, not being facetious, but there's some of those things that you really don't know.
Right. No, but look, okay. The woman you got married to has a history, and let's say there's two sets of things. There's a high hygiene history that she comes from, and you're now throwing me into a marriage with someone who has no quirks about turning over and kissing in the morning, when for her that is not something you're going to do. You're not going to drop your lips on mine this morning so go and put some mouthwash or something in before I get your kiss. History. But then I honestly feel that as the couple starts to be groomed together, certain walls start to come down, certain historical things start to be broken, because you now start to communicate together. I don't see it as a big deal, but it can be a big deal. And if you know that, then when you turn over, kiss on her cheek, kiss on her forehead, whatever it is that you can continue the affection going on because you know that is one of her hygienic quirks, or those are some of the things that,
Right.
that she holds on to. But you can find things to do. Their breasts. I mean, put yourself in a place where you still want to make sure you're affectionate to her on a morning, and you know that that's going to be an issue. She doesn't want to smell your breath. Well, kiss somewhere else. You know,
Well, and there are couples who also keep things like Tic Tac on the the side,
Right.
the
Understood.
close to the
Yeah.
bed,
Bedhead. Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
they have stuff like that because you don't want to be grossed out, and but I think it has to be a merging of the lives that
Right.
you are, you know, and I think the older people are, the more difficult those transitions are to for them to make. You're talking the older people are, really the older they are, the more that they're stuck in their ways. You have some people who think that they can take a bath, you know, never, and take a shower once a week. You know, it's like, and people who would smell their underwear or smell their shirt to see if it's dirty, to see if they can wear it again. When you have those merging of those worlds and those things, you don't discover until you're
Right.
actually in the marriage, where it's
Right.
just like, hold up, you hold up, you've been wearing that underwear for 4 days, and you're just like, well, it doesn't smell. Smell it. It doesn't smell. So it's those things that we have to understand. Now, you can make that, something like that can turn out to be World War V,
Right.
or it can be the funniest thing where you hit the person with a pillow, or you make it into a fun um, gesture, and then even there make a suggestion like, listen, you need to change your underwear, you know, at least once a day. Right, because again, it's sometimes those things are personal, and sometimes, honestly, sometimes we don't kind of smell ourselves. How does I'm looking at your shirt, Happy, Holy, and Horny. How does one have that conversation in the middle of intimacy? So it's in the middle of intimacy, and whether it's the underarm or it's the breast or whatever, how should we, would a man expect to receive um, that information, that either his breast or his, some part of his anatomy is not scented well?
And
How
and you're
how should a woman communicate that?
and you're talking during the process of making love, or
Yeah, yeah. So he came in this time. He came in from church, so he had a suit on and everything, right? So
right.
it's not the contractor or whatever. He's not coming dirty. He comes home, he has a suit on, and the kids are not there, and they get busy from the door, end up in the bedroom, and then you know she gets hit with the scent. How should she push him away? Should she? I mean, how can she communicate that? Or should
Well,
she communicate that at that point?
I think okay. As I said, it all depends on the couples. Now, if I'm thinking about scenario like that, and you're keeping things on your bed head. Let's say you're now getting to know this new spouse, and you realize that when he keeps clothes on for a while, his perspiration kicks, or you realize that certain things are smelly during the period of time. If you're unable to talk about it at the time, well, do something about it while there. For instance, if you're keeping Tic Tacs, well, keep other things. So let's say you decide,
You
honey, let me.
can't, Molly, you can't just stop in the middle of it and
No,
have
no, no,
to
no,
go to
no.
it. Like,
Hold on. Relax. We going somewhere. Let's think about it. In the middle of what's going on, you decide that let me give you a massage. Let me just say that, right? As a result of it, it's still sensual, but I'm adding some odor to the whole process. So let's say I use baby oil, and I start to, as the wife, for instance, so she starts to massage her husband, and he's like, oh, he's feeling all good, but she's getting another scent. I'm just saying you find other ways around it so that you don't interrupt the mood. But at some point, there has to be a conversation about what's really happening. And after dinner, during dinner, and sometimes, especially like I see a lot of men used to say, if you the best time to talk is after making love. Then you could start to say certain things at that point because our ears are more perked for information. You know, a lot of women, that's the time they used to ask for money, or new things in the house, or a new appliance, So, I'm just saying, we could find ways around those little quirks, real creative ways to do it, that you don't interrupt the intimacy, but you know what you're doing. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, I don't know because from I mean, you're a man, so you would know, and I just have the research where you know, after a time of sexual intimacy, the man wants to stroke his ego. So if you say, well, this was good, but your breath was kind of, I don't know how he would take that.
Well, I don't see that being the right time to do things. As I said, as the couple gets more mature, there are some ways to deal with things, and you have to. But I can't see it being just drop dead. Okay, your mouth just stink. All right, it has to be done in a more tactful way, and that goes for both men and women. And we could find those times. I don't see that being the right timing. But I mean, for me, I guess I would have handled it in a way where another venue. Um, what you could come bring up a conversation while having dinner, a romantic, whatever it is. I mean, you could have.
And it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't have to be particularly about the individual. You can tactfully talk about,
Correct.
um, you know, when when we come home, we probably need to change our deodorant, or we need to probably get something that's stronger. Anytime we use we and include yourself, it makes whatever you're saying a little lighter, a little
Right.
easier to swallow, because and then the person in the quietness might do a sniff sniff and then be like, oh my gosh, it was
Right.
me. But I think that those things are really, really good to be able to have those kinds of conversation. One of the questions that we had when it came to that was um, the importance of that, especially the hygiene, especially with oral sex,
Right.
and whether or not it is something people have been told. I don't know if you were in one of the classes that we did, and someone was saying that you get throat cancer
I remember that.
because of all um, the germs and all the stuff that happens in either the vagina or the penis, so that they feel that is wrong. I mean, in terms of hygiene, and I'm asking you because I'm pushing you. You're
Hmm.
one of the people that we're mentoring as well, so I'm pushing you so that I am the client and you are the expert.
Right.
So, how, in terms of hygiene, how do we view that and oral sex?
But I still, but how I feel about Solomon. I do feel that biblically Solomon was an example. I always like the example of Solomon. That's where he found himself, between his wife's legs. So I know it's not something that we should be running from. Um, to say regarding hygiene side of it, I really couples need to communicate regarding these things. There are couples I know of that as to when they decide they want to make love, each person goes and takes a shower, intentional.
Oh, right, and or you can start everything in the shower, start and
Right.
end.
Start it right. You understand? But as I said, it's intentional. I know couples that, let's say, for instance, you're going through the process and it's spontaneous, but you just came in, she just came in. Well, just like what you just said before, there's always a bottle of water or something at the side of the bed. So as a result, you could lay her down, put a towel on the bed, and right there in the sensual process, you could be putting water in her mouth, spitting, just you and doing stuff that makes her get aroused, but having the vagina clean at the same time. You see, it's, as I said, it's all based on the couples, the maturity of the couples, the intentionality of what you intend to do, making sure that you don't interrupt, and you find things and creative ways to do it. But it comes with communication, it comes with maturity in couples. But there are ways around it. Similarly, obviously, with the penis, I mean, you could do the very same thing where the wife could actually be taking water and just while washing him and doing and stroking, she's cleaning him, but also pleasuring him at the same time. Um, as I said, it's the couple. If you come into it with all these different kinds of quirks and taboos, well, then you're gonna run from your spouse.
Yeah, and we're talking about married couples, so it's something that I know that people are probably like, oh my gosh, is this, is this something that should be done? I told you I only needed to take the children to the back room, so that we can have this conversation. But it's really important for us to be able to explore those things as
Right.
a couple and not let hygiene be something that breaks your marriage up. I mean, hygiene is all about soap and water. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not even talking about perfume and everything else, but just those things can help. And someone was saying that is the natural body odor, saying that you don't use um, deodorant and stuff like that. It's not necessarily saying that. There is, I love Irish Spring. When my husband takes a shower and it's Irish Spring, I mean, I just love it. It's just like you want to walk around and sniff. Okay, I'm telling on myself, but it's those kinds of stuff that lends itself to enhancing the marriage and enhancing the relationship. And I wanted to do this on the Friday night so that those people who are in the marriage, they can have some idea. The complaint is the hygiene. The hygiene can be dealt with. Let
Right.
me ask you another question that came up in one of the conversation. The women usually would put perfume on their neck, on their head. Is there a preference? Those parts. Is there and I know it will be different for every man, but is there a general preference as to where she puts it?
I don't think, I mean, the reason why they do it there, because those are the contact areas that the heat comes out even more. So when you actually put it behind here, if you go to the perfume store, they'll put it here, put it in your wrist, because those are the points of your body where it actually starts to get, as though it's like a radiation that takes place right there. Those 2 points. I mean, but couples and as I said, as they mature, you could run it in the cleavage of your breast. You could. It all depends. It's your husband you're trying to appeal to, or your wife you're trying to appeal to. So you could find ways back of your neck, because that's where he likes to go to kiss first, or you want to put it, there, as I said, it's all based on intentionality of the tension of the couples. As you get more mature, you realize this is what he likes, she likes, and you do things to make sure that they stay, and they're enticed all the time. Listen, when you make love, and it's in a place where your spouse is having one and two orgasms, and by the time you're done and you're going to work that day, that's where your mind is going to be. You're not gonna think about anything else but getting back home to get this thing done again, because it's so good. Our job basically as husbands and wives is to make sure that we blow the minds of our spouses, so that nobody else basically has room to fit in. So we do things because of what they like, what appeals to them, what turns them on, because someone else will do it. So that's what I'm saying. So our marriage is intentional. Whatever we do, it's all based on how we please the other one.
But okay, so here's a tough question,
Hmm.
and you probably have to get into the man cave. Hopefully, I want you to answer, and if there are any man that's watching and you're married or you have had any kind of sexual encounters before, I really want every single man to answer this. How does a man know that a woman has had, during the time of sex, that she has had an orgasm? How does he know?
I mean, outside of her making the squeals and all the other noises that should come
Well,
along in
well,
some cases.
yeah, I'm hoping that men know that women can fake that.
Well,
I'm
right, of
hoping
course.
that, yeah, I'm
Well,
hoping that is not the only measuring rod, because there are times, and that's one of the things that you hear in the she shed, where you have
the
people
fake,
who,
who fake, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
understood, understood.
So outside of that, is there another way that a man measures? Because men will talk and say, "Well, I made her da 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 da," and all of that. He's talking, but what is he? measuring that on? Is it her response,
So
or
I
is
think
there another
obviously
way that a man would know?
one or two things. The response side of it is obviously the first audible thing that you figure, but the the extra lubrication, the extra wetness, the extra aspect of the vagina, it depends on where you are. Let's say you are on top and you're doing whatever positions you're in, you will feel the extra lubrication. You'll feel the actual wetness on your penis. Be it if it's oral, you'll also sense and feel the lubrication taking place. The other side of it is even what you can't fake is the body relaxing after an orgasm. There's a relaxation that comes, and some women handle differently. Obviously, yes, you relax, but then some want to go again. But then the when the actual or is similar to men, when the actual orgasm is going on, there's an outburst and then there's a release side of the body. And the women do the very same thing. So you can actually tell that she actually had an orgasm if you see those type of reactions, and you'll see the body kind of go through a relaxing mode. Some women, the eyes turn back. Some obviously there's a sigh that comes afterwards. You could see the breathing change, and you can test and see what those things are. But if you're faking, I think at the end of the day, you're not going to get some of those relaxing things happening. You might go through the process of making the noises and going through all the climaxing songs, but your body is not lining up with what your mouth is doing. So to a man,
Right.
to a man, he has to understand, and I think men need to understand the bodies of their wives. I don't think we take pornography. I think has caused so many different silly, ill information that we feel that when we're not educated. So we need to spend the time on understanding and being educated of our wives' bodies and how it responds, how it reacts to certain things. What is the makeup of the vagina? Which is the minor, which is the major? Where all the sensitive parts of it? What happens when she urinates, or when she has an orgasm? Educate yourself on your wife's body so that you become a more effective lover. And similarly, same thing for the wives. It's not just to pull and tug and then end up and something happens and call. No, there's so much more to understanding how we respond from the scrotum to the head these things are I think it has to be intentional, as I said.
But do you believe? Do you think that? How do I say that? Most women equate ejaculation, the sperm coming out, to
Mhm.
mean that the man has had an orgasm,
Right.
and that does not always. It's not the same. So does the man know that it's not the same, and does he understand that there are two different things that's happening, or is he does after the ejaculation he feels, because it's after the ejaculation now, is that feeling like, okay, is he satisfied, was there an orgasm for him? Do men understand that the ejaculation is not an orgasm?
I don't think so. I think that you kind of I think in the minds of most men that's a simultaneous thing. It's the
And,
same
and
thing
and a lot of
basically.
times it happens simultaneously, but sometimes it doesn't.
Well, Well, I guess, and you see, as I said, it all comes back to our education and how we build things. Men really feel from the time something spurts out, done. I've had it. It has happened, you know. Um, but I think, as I said, we need to still understand our bodies, understand how it works. Um, but yeah, I mean, I really feel that listen, it's all based on education. And like for me, it's a matter of knowing the bodies, the function of the bodies, and hey, there's I don't see nothing much different. I mean, honestly, but I know, like for instance, there's situation we have dealt with where when a man actually gets to a point of orgasm or he actually ejaculates. In some men, that's when they roll over and sleep, and but then in some men, that's the time to okay, it's time to go again. There's a
Yeah,
fuel in.
yeah, and it's different for both. The about it, and one of the complaints, and I'm going over some of the questions that we had, and I have in my inbox. One of the questions is about someone who um, completes too quickly. And I don't think that, I don't know. Again, I am just coming from a very therapeutic place of doing the research and all of that, but not, hands on. Because that slowing down process is something that needs to happen in the brain. And I think some men think that they can't help themselves. I don't know if you can speak to that. Is it possible to hold back and lengthen the time as opposed to, like 2 minutes and I'm done?
Well, I think there are a couple ways that can be done. Many years ago, I had the opportunity to spend time with some pornography stars, and because I like to ask questions as to what they would do, and this is for obviously for couples, and it's all based on your maturity of understanding your spouse. Some of these guys that I met, they would actually um, ejaculate first prior to actually going to have sex, because it means that the ejaculant comes out and it's gone. So as a result of it, when they actually get another erection, when it's time to actually make love, um, they last a lot longer because there's nothing right there to come out. That's one process that a lot of as I said, the pornography stars, that's what they would have used. In the context of marriage, if it is that you're mature enough to be with your spouse and to, let's say, masturbate your spouse, and use that as your means. If he's a 2 minute or 1 minute person, use that as your means of getting rid of the first set of it. Then you start the process. You are going to get erection again.
But what happens if because you have someone who might just fall asleep? They don't have the they don't have the Energizer Bunny thing to go again.
Well,
Because you have women who feel so unfulfilled.
I agree. I
You
hear you.
know,
I hear you.
it's
Well, let me
yeah, it's just like,
the
oh my
answer.
gosh, what do I say?
No, but the answer, as I said, I'm giving you two ways out of it. That's one way that they use, so that as a mature couple, if you know that's what your husband, if that what takes place with him, and he gets excited, and that speaks to the wife too. The wife, your wife gets you excited. Come on, I mean, it speaks to who she is also. So, but knowing that fact, then you all work it out together. Where, all right, we will be making love. He ejaculates before, and then he goes and he does it again. So you have a second time around, and he has a longer period of time. That's one. While in your wife, and you're having, obviously your mind is there where you know something is about to happen. There's the slowdown process. It works for some and doesn't work for others, and it also depends on timing too. You can change your mindset. You could start thinking about the things at that point. I know I've met guys, and we've sit and talk about, you think about, um oh wow, that Eagles game was serious, boy, that was really good. As a result of it, you understand, so your mind went somewhere else right at that
Really?
point. Yeah, right at that point, so that you no longer concentrate on what's happening in your pelvic area. Because when you start to think about the thrusting, you're thinking about what's happening. That's when the ejaculant is going to come out. So you know that you're basically getting ready, and you don't know how to stop it. So I know, as I said, some men would have start thinking about other things, because it makes you move your mind somewhere else. And as a result of it, because your penis responds to what's happening in your head also. And as I said, as long as you understand your body, and we have to take time to understand our body. We just jump, as I said, we jump into this process, but we don't really take the time to figure things out. So if you know that's who you are, find ways to change your mind right at that point in time. As I said, there are some ways of reducing your thrust, doing things differently right there. You could squeeze a little, and you could learn how to squeeze, um, but you have to learn how to learn your genitals. You have to learn it. So So there are ways to do it, but then obviously there has to be the other side where the couple understands and they work things out as to how, but it can be done. You have to figure out what is your means of slowing yourself down.
Right. So, well, one of the things that I'm glad that we're saying that it is possible. The other question is, how does a wife deal with a husband who's having erectile deficiencies and not wanting to go to a doctor or speak to anyone about it? Um, she is frustrated, and and we know, just from the science of it, the more stress, the less it works anyway. So
Yes.
what does she do to get him to that if anything, to get him to that comfort level where he, one, speaks to her about it, and two, try to seek help? Because I think men don't realize that it is not something that cannot be fixed. Sometimes it's medicine, relaxation, and different things
Right.
that you can do to be able
Right.
to make it to work.
I
But
mean,
how does she,
your eating habits, the
eating
different things
habits,
that
yeah, yeah,
cause it, right?
diet, exercise,
Right. I mean, the basic, most times the basic reason is because there's not enough blood flow. There's not enough blood flow to the penis, and obviously their arteries that might be clogged because of how you eat. So there are different things that you can be doing for that. I think the conversation really, I remember there's a couple of it that we had to deal with, and it's not until the friends of the couple started talk about how good the wife looked and how appealing she is and how she's appealing to other people that the husband started to realize I can't have my wife being appealing to other people because I'm not, and he knows he's not satisfying her. So by then he started now they had a conversation and they intentionally found a way to solve it. So now he's able to now to have good, successful, rigid sex with her because they found a way around. But the communication side, now from the woman's perspective, um, it still boils down to communication. And how do you do it? What tactful ways of handling it? Um, even but this, as I said, in this couple, what she did is that she had her friends basically just she didn't tell them what was going on, but she just made herself look good, and
right?
the friends did the job by complimenting her, and you had people looking at her, heads turning while he's there, and it kind of obviously made him a little more compelled to decide I need to do something about this. It is a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, because diabetes and
Right.
there's some side effects from some medication, but then there are also some enhancers that you can use.
Yeah.
You don't
Correct.
want to do too much of it, but there are enhancers. There are things that you can do. You can speak to a therapist, speak to a doctor, but it's not something to be ashamed of, to the point where you don't do anything, you don't have
Yeah.
a conversation. One of my clients was saying that he was impotent for 5 years because he was taking chemotherapy, but they found other ways. Once you can have that conversation
Correct.
and actually share how vulnerable you feel and how you feel about it, then together you can you can work together to
Yeah. Yeah.
fix that.
I mean, and you say
Here's
that
what
obviously there are the enhancers, and the enhancers work. I know many men that actually use the enhancers, and the wives make sure that he keeps the enhancers with him, because as a result, when she's ready,
absolutely.
and she knows it takes about 20 minutes to take effect, she said, take it, Phil, now I'm going to shower. You understand? So the intention is there, so that by the time she's ready, Johnny is all up in the air, standing, waiting for her. So you understand?
Right, because I don't think couples realize that once you can share those fears, anxieties, those weaknesses, then it makes the process easier.
Correct.
To that level of communication is so, so important. All right, another question for you. And the time is going so quickly. The 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 question is about moaning, groaning. How
Hmm.
important is that to a man during the time of sexual intimacy? Um, because there's some women say they're just quiet. They're just quiet. It's not like they're not enjoying or having fun, but their spouse is really big on moaning and groaning and screaming and all that stuff. Is that really important to most men, all men?
I feel it would be in some cases. You have to remember
What
also
does
men.
it do then? So interpret it for us. What does it do to the man's psyche?
Well, okay. Let's say I am a chef and I've just prepared a meal for you, right? And as you put it first in, I go, oh my God, I go, My ego as a chef goes skyrocket because I've just pleased you. Your taste buds would just send a whole different euphoric type of a feeling towards your brain, right? Similarly, obviously, if if as okay, let's say as a wife, if as a wife you're having oral sex, and while doing it, the man just looks at you, like, okay, cool, and he doesn't say a word, it does something to you because he's not enjoying it. So if you flip it, the same thing would apply, and we go based on visual, we go based on sound, and I remember the analogy of a king. A king likes to know that he is honored when things are taking place. So yes, there are some major pluses, but it still needs to be discussed. Are you enjoying this? I mean, at other points in time, yeah, I do, but I don't hear you make any. Oh, okay. Well, what let the conversation actually start, because sometimes I don't feel that you enjoy. No, I really am. Okay, but and start the process, and it might be a matter of, but you know what? Sometimes if you would stroke on my back, that really turns me on. So the conversation could shift, so you could now know what to do. As I
So you're
said,
talking about conversation during sex?
it can be depending on the mood, depending on the time, depending on the couple. While in the process, what do you want me to do for you? Tell me, what do you want to do? So come on, let's and as a result of it, as she's getting involved, yeah, just do this. Oh, okay, cool. And when from the time you decide to do what she says, reactions generally, oh yeah. All I'm saying to you is that the conversations and the intention of what you intend to do, those play a very important part. And the more mature you get, you realize that you could get away with some of these little quirks that are there. I mean, just that simple thing of not moaning, you can solve that. But you have to have the conversation, and you have to be mature about it. If not, you could use that tiny thing and, oh boy, she doesn't enjoy me at all. No, it you can find ways around it.
So, so the quiet, on a scale of 1 to 10, how many
Yeah.
men do you think, 10, 10, how many men would like the quiet? Do you think there are any men who would just want you to be quiet? Unless it's a quickie in the office, where you
Right.
have to kind of cover your. Is there any time that the man is going to be um, okay with quiet? What I'm looking for is for us to understand how that is a stimulant to him. It is part of the entire picture for him.
Well, I think
Saying things.
it's a stimulant for both, but to answer your question, I think it's going to be a very, very low part of that scale. Because if you're enjoying something and it goes to everything that we do, if you're enjoying something, there's generally a reaction that comes out of your mouth. Because of it, in the middle of worship, you burst up in tongues. There is always a general reaction to the things that we're doing, and if going through this intense thing called making love and having sex, and you're still quiet as a mouse generally, then to the person, to the person making love to you, it could come across as, okay, this is not working well. Something is wrong here. You could go through that process in your mind. So yes, I mean the scale will be very low, probably 1.5. You know.
Right. So we're walking away understanding that that is an important part of the whole. It's like right here, where you communicate. It's
Right,
communicate during
right.
the time, and if it's a good spot. I mean, I tell people, if anybody anybody who knows me. They know me and know, I try to be very ladylike and all of that. But if you see me at a Knicks game, a basketball game, I mean, I'm a basketball junkie. I cannot sit down. I'm not thinking I'll be there. I cannot sit down. I mean, it's the excitement and everything is there. And I think what we're saying is when we respond, and your analogy with the church is also very important because there's a place in worship where there's total abandonment. And
Correct.
that is one of the most the greatest feeling that you can have when you abandon everything, whether you kneel, you fall, you cry, you whatever, but you're responding to that time of intimacy with God. And I think because it was God who have the analogy as the church being the bride and Christ being the groom, then we can also say in the marriage when the bride and the groom comes together and it is that time of total excitement, we should have total abandonment.
Well, I mean, to push the letter even further, I remember in the book we were interviewing a couple, and they were worship leaders, and because they intentionally made sure that God was a part of every aspect of their lives. I mean, literally. It became normal. And some couples probably when they're having sex and making love, some couples curse. Some couples get you into some strange words that come out your mouth. All this foul, a lot of stuff come out. Where is this foreign language coming from? But it comes out. So as a result of it, they put them together. So
So
when
what?
in
So what happens if somebody said, we're Christians. Don't say that. Is that a
hey hey
is that a
listen.
healthy response?
So what I'm saying is that just when you are in the process of the inner things in you come out during anger and intimacy. Who you are comes out in those two times. So if you're upset and you are accustomed cursing secretly, you are going to curse publicly when you're angry. Similarly, in intimacy, if at this point in time this is what's on the inside of you and is there, some four-letter word or something is going to come out in that process. So what this couple was doing is that they found themselves where worship was just so much in them. They decided that they wouldn't contaminate themselves. It's a part. It's one of the stories in the book, and as a result of it, they were just preparing for a time of worship right before they went into a session, and he just complimented his wife that night, and as he complimented her, he just gave her a kiss on her cheek and gave a kiss, and then they just started like enjoy each other while they're in the house, and then they just started hum. You just hum in tongues. I mean, it might sound as weird as possible, but because of it, they just started like get heavily involved in some heavy petting while talking in tongues.
No, something is wrong with that, Marlon.
No,
I
no, no,
don't
no, no.
know.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. You see, we tend to separate it. As much as the bed is undefiled, that doesn't mean God leaves the bed. You see, you can because a lot of people feel that because of that terminology, the bed is undefiled. They see, Lord, sit down right here when I close this door because there are a couple things they're going to be doing inside of here that you're not supposed to see. Yeah, but that ain't true because he could be a part of the process. I mean, we are worship leader and worship leader, and I understand the intimacy side because I've been there before where in the middle of the horniest time in your life you start under the in the middle of it, in the middle of the
Well,
process.
yeah, you know what? You know when I did that, Marlon? When I was single and by myself, those tongues kept me saved and walking on the streets narrow. It's like, help Jesus, help me, Jesus. But
Well, think of
it's
no, no,
kind of
think about it.
really
Think about it. If you see, as long you see, we are supposed to be surrendered individuals, right? There's a natural aspect of us that whatever is on the inside should come out in the process of anger and intimacy. So if it is that during the process of anger and intimacy, everything that who you're not supposed to be comes out, then something is up with it. I mean, I'm not saying don't or whatever. I'm not making any preventions for any couples, but you could imagine if we as believers are completely sold out to God in a very real way, that in the process of the most intimate time, the time when the bride and bridegroom comes together based on the church, based on the Bible, that you could still be singing or saying things that it might sound weird to a lot of people, very much so. But I want you to really think about it. That if you're completely sold out and what's on the inside you comes out in the highest point of ecstasy, and if you could speak to God in that kind of time, listen, I really feel that something can happen, something different can happen with our
Well,
couples also.
that is really new for me, and I think I've kind of explored a whole lot of stuff because I just don't think somebody should start singing a hymn
No, 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 no. Hear
or
me out. Hear me out. No, no.
getting
Near my God to
blessed
the
assurance.
no,
Oh,
no, no.
blessed
Hear me out.
assurance.
Behave yourself. It ain't happening. That's not happening. So it's not happening. What I'm saying is that, and I'm giving the other side of it because I've met couples that they are the horniest that I've met, right? And they're sold out, worship leaders, pastors, and they've made a decision that what's on the inside of me will come out when I'm in the highest point of intimacy. And because of it, there is just such a euphoric, Shekinah in the process of coming. You understand? It might sound weird, but you could imagine if that's something that we actually fashion ourselves and really want to do as believers, it could make things a little different in our marriages. If we could actually
I understand.
really,
I understand what you're saying because it's not a dichotomy between being spiritual and being carnal. You are who you are, and that level
yes,
of intimacy during that time. Because I'm just thinking about it. One of my spiritual dad, he was when we were doing marriage counseling. He says there's sometimes you just have to scream Jesus in the middle of certain things. It's like yeah, right
yeah,
there because that's your language. So I understand. I just don't want people to go too spooky, and I probably would need to try it. But the tongues came out for me as a help
a prevention.
in
Yeah,
time
understood, understood,
in time
understood.
of need, and those Saturday nights, those rainy nights, those nights when you're playing some Luther or something, and you look to your left and you look to your right, and you're by yourself,
Right,
and so you ask the Lord to help you not to make that phone call, not to make that invite. But I
understood.
understand what you're saying that in that level of intimacy that you have can translate into that. I just want to make sure that couples understand that this has to be a conversation.
Yeah, it
Sometimes the
is. It
man may
is.
not want to hear, there's too much Jesus in the bedrooms already. So,
No, no, no.
he may
Listen,
not.
listen. I'll be the first to tell you. I'll be the first to tell you that that is not the norm. I'm the first because obviously, as I said, everything that's on the inside you comes out in intimacy. And there's a release. There's a relief. You could say what you want in the ears of your wife at that point in time. But I'm just saying because of some of these examples, we have never heard it said, and I don't want people to feel it can't happen because we do feel that when we shut that door, everything that pertains to our Christianity stays outside. That's how a lot
Well,
of
well,
people
you have
feel.
you have people who are attesting to it. Some people who do it, and some people who have heard it before, where it causes you to speak in tongues. There is always there are times I'm just walking down the street and there's something happen, and the joy of the Lord overflow is the language that we get, that intimate language. So I can understand that it can be used. I haven't used it there, but I will.
Yeah,
I really have to
listen,
explore
listen.
that.
The examples that I have, especially in the book, was that it caused 6 orgasms because
It
of it.
what?
It caused 6 orgasms. The
Speaking in
woman,
tongues for
the woman,
six
the woman, the
orgasms.
woman, the woman had a tradition of from the time they started the process, right? She would one, two, and then they would obviously be making love for about at least about 2 hours, right? But the process that's when I interviewed them because I wanted to understand the other side of a lot of things, and we keep looking at one side, but then this she said, Mr. Nichols, I would generally have about 6 orgasms just by allowing the Lord to do what He's doing with us as making love. And we tend to separate. Pornography and television and how people talk, they tend to contaminate, I believe, something that was really planned for one of the most dynamic, euphoric type of experiences a couple should have.
Well,
I
I
mean,
want to, I want, you know how I am. I want to challenge. Everybody has all these Facebook challenge, but to the married people, I want to challenge you to get into that place. For us to get into that place, Lakita is saying that that's one of the highest places. So she understands that people would speak in tongues, and people have spoken in tongues during that time. Um, and I applaud it. And that's something that I have to look into. I never thought about it, to be honest. um I can't say that I spoke in tongues. You get to that place where you might say Jesus, or you call on the Lord, but talking in tongues, I have to get to I have to come up to your level, Marlon. You and John, I have to come up to your level.
Chelsea.
Oh,
Anyway.
anyway, I think we're out of time. So, what would be your final words for us? We talked about the scent of a woman. We talked about everything. Um,
I
any,
think the freedom. I really feel you have to be intentional. I keep using that word because it's really what it is. You have to be intentional about your marriage. So, um, I remember Pastor Miles would always say that God created the ending and then he went back to the beginning. Know what you want. If you want it to work, if you want to know that at the end of the evening I'm gonna make love to my wife, but then you start your day preparing yourself for that ending. Similarly, the wife has to do the very same thing. So our marriages, our relationships has to be intentional. We do things that no one else could penetrate the bond that we have. You're traveling. Well, you make sure that at the end of the day, your wife just blows your mind with some good sex before you leave. So when you're away, there's no way you could think of anything else. So by the time you get back, she blows your mind again. By the time you get back, everything is intentional. So and I do feel like we could actually have good working relationships. I mean, things happen in relationships. I mean, there's so many different things that happen. But when you have an intention, basically, to keep it going, you you put things in place so that it could continue on that way. I mean, listen, it's workable. It's possible.
right.
It's possible.
I
It's workable.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, as the Bible says, nothing impossible with God. But really, there's nothing that's really impossible when a couple decides that they're going to make this thing work. If you decide it's not going to make it work, well, then that's a problem. But if you decide that
Well,
you're going to really make it work, you could go out, you could jump over walls, you could go over obstacles, you can create holes in walls so you could actually get through certain things. And there's nothing more dynamic than a couple that was together, and there's need more dynamic than a Christian couple. Because when a Christian couple has the ability to work through things, to be happy, holy, and horny, to be righteous and rude at the same time, when you could do all those things and really and the anointing stays intact, um, you know, I, I really applaud the whole concept of marriage because God knows what He's doing. He did. Because when that's solidified, nations could change because of it.
yeah, and that's really really good. And the last thing I would like to say is that people have to be comfortable and explore. It does not always have to be in the bedroom, in the bed. Try a chair, try the car, kind of put some some spunk into it, and not let that area of your life be boring. And I think if we do that, the fire there. Don't become roommates. Don't become housemates, and not uh, even if stuff don't work. Clean conversation, answer some questions, and if you have further questions about sex or sexuality, please feel free to leave it in the comments, or you can also inbox Marlon or myself. Marlon, before we go, tell us about your book.
Well, as I said, I interviewed about 50 couples, Christian couples, and we dealt with everything that's under the sun: masturbation, pornography. There's a term that we coined called Christian prostitution. Women who have been divorced in churches, and as a result, doctrine tells them that they cannot get remarried. So as a result, a lot of the high-end ministers use them for sex. Christian prostitutes, and they're real. I interviewed 6 of them. So
Well,
the book,
I think they're prostitutes who go to church,
yes, yes,
right?
but they call themselves They are normal ministers in churches. They have different functions, high-end
Yeah, but
functions.
that doesn't make
But
them Christian.
well, as I'm saying, they coined the phrase Christian prostitutes because they do all the normal things like normal, but when their sex is concerned, since they have been divorced and they're told they can't get remarried, well, what else do you do? So a lot of the men folk actually know that, and as a result, they pay the rent, pay the car note, and things like that in exchange. So that's another aspect of the book. And then the book also gives you instructional sides of it because we did like surveys of the best 10 um, intercourse positions, and we did the best five oral positions that Christian couples use and what times of the week they do it. So it was very and the diagrams also. So I'm warning you. But so as a result of it, you can get a full storyline of people who went through stuff from masturbation to pornography and everything else. But then you also have the assistance with some of the positions, the reverse cowgirl and all the other things that can be done to help the excitement in the bedroom or on the washing machine or in the car or in the dry whatever
Yeah.
the
And there's
excitement. Yeah.
something we have to be very open and honest and
Yeah.
say there's some people who would need help. If both of you put on weight, you can't have sex the same way that you did
Correct.
when you were smaller. So, you have to change position. It's not that you don't do it, it's just that you kind of change positions and try other things. This has been a healthy conversation. It's always such a pleasure. You can get Marlon's book online. I think he put the website there. If you want that book, it's an ebook and it may be able to help. Those of you who are not married, please be cautious with it. Like he said, their positions and their diagrams. I know everybody is just gonna get it just because of that. But let's make it a bestseller. Let's make it a bestseller. Let's do that tonight. Marlon, how much is the book?
It's only 6.99. Depend on where you
Six
go.
ninety nine.
Yeah. 7.99, six ninety
Everybody
nine.
here, everybody got 6.99. So
Yeah.
go get the book,
I mean, if
and
if you
if
go
you
to
have,
if you go to the website happyholyhoney.com, it's there. You get it there, or you can go to Barnes and Nobles, get it. Amazon I find is a little difficult to find it, so I normally refer people to Barnes and Nobles very quickly, and then we have about 10 other online sites that is actually available there also. But the website itself is direct. Happyholyhoney.com. You go there and you just purchase right there. But as I said, it's a little different, I must say. It took a lot to actually release it, but I really feel that I've seen too many things. I'm a divorcee, and I've seen things in the church, and I've seen how church responds and reacts to certain things. I've seen things over the years that I felt that that we needed to have this discussion, and that you can be happy, holy, and horny at the same time, and be anointed to do what you've been called to do.
awesome. Well, guys, this is it for tonight. We were Marlon brought us into the cave, and we talked about sex, and nobody died. All of you guys, I'm seeing that all of you guys stayed with me. You were quiet. The comments are not as frequent as it normally is because some of you are scared that someone else will see. But then you'll blow up my inbox. But we're here for you. We're not going to be here tomorrow night. I'm taking a night off. And so we're going to be back on Sunday. All right. If you have any questions, please feel free to inbox me. And remember, go buy Marlon's book. We want him to sell 100 copies tonight. And then he'll send me his tithe.
Commission.
Commission. All
No
right,
worries.
Marlon. Thanks so much. Tell
No
Dawn
worries.
I said
As well as
hi. Everybody.
anyone having. I mean, you could send a friend request. We can talk. Obviously, Cheryl, you and I will raise if the questions get too large for me. But obviously,
Right.
these are things I think we need to discuss. I've seen too many devastations in our marriages. So yeah. So I really appreciate. Thank you so much. Our friendship goes back like umpteen years. I love you, love
Yeah,
you, love you.
right? All the way, way back. Can't get rid of me. Can't get rid of me. Thank you so much. And tell Dawn I said hi.
No
And
problem, sweetie.
guys, see you guys on Sunday night. Have a great Saturday.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Take care. Bye bye.